Look at a piece of muddy, untreated glass. It scatters light, obscuring the image behind it. To reflect a clear image, the glass must be stripped of its impurities and ground into a polished mirror. In antiquity, the Greek concept of mysterion functioned as a gateway. It was not a secret to be hidden, but a specific experience to be entered. It referred to an initiation into sacred knowledge, a process of transformation rather than a puzzle to be solved. Across the Western philosophical and esoteric tradition, this initiation is never a single event. It operates as a strictly sequenced two-stage epistemological engine. The first stage consists of the lesser mysteries. This phase is subtractive. It requires the active dismantling of the old self and the rigorous purification of the initiate's character. Only when the first stage is complete can the initiate access the greater mysteries. This second stage is additive, focusing on profound realization and direct experiential knowledge. Across centuries of Western history, true illumination is framed not as the accumulation of new data, but as the structural preparation of the human mind to withstand a direct experience of reality. This matrix maps how this dual structure evolved across Western thought. The top row isolates the preparatory phase of the lesser mysteries, while the bottom row captures the realization phase of the greater mysteries. The vertical axis represents the psychological development of the initiate. The sequence moves strictly downward. Completion of the preparatory stage is a requirement before any advancement can occur. The horizontal axis tracks distinct historical and philosophical paradigms from antiquity to modernity. While the dogmas, rituals, and symbols change between pagans, Christians, and alchemists, the underlying structural architecture for human transformation remains consistent. We establish our historical baseline in classical antiquity, specifically within the agricultural rites of ancient Greece. The initial phase, the lesser mysteries, took place at the physical site of Agre. For the ancient Greeks, this functioned as a preliminary ritual purification. Months later, the purified candidates traveled to the greater mysteries held at Eleusis, a highly guarded initiation centered around a transformative revelation. These stone reliefs depict Demeter and her daughter Persephone. The mythological cycle of Persephone's descent into the underworld and her return served as the physical anchor for the cult's rites. From a strict historical perspective, we do not know the exact mechanisms or secrets revealed inside the initiation hall at Eleusis. Our understanding of how these mysteries function psychologically relies on how later thinkers interpreted them. Applying this baseline to our matrix, the physical purification of Agre occupies the top row, and the revelation at Eleusis fills the bottom. These localized agricultural rituals provided the architecture that Western philosophy would later internalize. Over the following centuries, philosophers extracted this physical initiation process and transformed it into an internal map of conscious ascent. The epistemological theories of Plato initiated this shift, moving the focus from civic ritual to the cultivation of the intellect. In late antiquity, thinkers like Plotinus formalized this inward journey, building the framework of Neoplatonism. The Neoplatonists defined the first stage of this internal engine with the term catharsis. Catharsis required moral purification, discipline of passions, and the symbolic death of the old ego. Just as compacted soil is broken up and cleared of debris before any seed can take root, the mind is cleared of chaotic impulses. Under Neoplatonism, catharsis maps to the top row as the mandatory preparation. For these thinkers, subtraction is the prerequisite. Higher intellectual understanding is blocked by the presence of undisciplined passions. The clearing required by catharsis serves to create a vessel capable of holding the target state. The Neoplatonic target state of the greater mysteries is gnosis, experiential, participatory knowledge of divine reality. Gnosis cannot be achieved by reading texts or gathering data. It is a direct, unmediated contemplation that reorients the initiate's perception of reality. On our evolving matrix, the concept of gnosis fills the bottom row. Neoplatonism evolved the greater mysteries from a localized physical secret into a philosophical goal of direct union with reality. Early Christian mystics utilized this same psychological architecture for spiritual development. In Christian mysticism, the lesser mysteries appear as the purgative way. the purification of sin and detachment from worldly desires. The culmination of this path is the concept of theosis, or experiential union with God. Mapping this to the greater mysteries on the bottom row, we find the illuminative way and ultimately theosis. This printed text from the Corpus Hermeticum details the parallel development of Hermeticism, which transmitted philosophy through a rigorous textual tradition. The Hermetic path mirrors this engine, moving from the purification of the soul to the awakening of the divine mind, a journey from multiplicity into unity. This two-stage blueprint is reliable enough that distinct theological systems adopted as their internal structure for spiritual development. Alchemy used metallurgical allegory to hide this same psychological framework. This diagram outlines the distinct stages of that process. Alchemists defined the first stage as the nigredo, the blackening, a period of symbolic death that maps to the preparatory lesser mysteries. The ultimate goal was the rubedo, the creation of the philosopher's stone, representing spiritual completion and illumination. The rubedo occupies the space of the greater mysteries, signifying the realization phase. Later esoteric traditions built their degree systems upon this same logic of death and rebirth. As seen in this stereoscopic photo of a Masonic ritual, the initiation is symbolic. This Rosicrucian plate utilizes complex emblems, such as the central heart and hexagram, to map these stages of inner transformation. Modern esoteric orders are interpretations utilizing a psychological blueprint, not unbroken historical continuations of the ancient Greek cults. If we strip away the historical terminology, dogmas, and alchemical codes, a clear mechanical process remains. The top row requires subtraction and symbolic death. The bottom row delivers realization and rebirth. This reveals a recurring pattern for human development. The lesser mysteries represent the work of gaining self-knowledge, processing the shadow, and committing to ethical living. The greater mysteries represent the result, the capacity for profound contemplation, objective wisdom, and the ability to be of service to others. The Western mystery tradition suggests that true illumination is not learned as data. It is a lived state of reality. To experience it, the individual is dismantled and then rebuilt.